What would be some of the reasons that I started to doubt myself, that any of us would start to doubt ourselves? And the number one reason for me, it was heartbreak. Because I just knew that I knew that I knew that I was right about you. I just knew that I picked a good one. I knew that I picked one that respected me. You know, a significant other romantically and friend. You can experience it on the job. Yeah, put it where it fits. Some of the ways that we let each other down, that I've been let down, that those things like that, and the failure of these connections that cause us to doubt ourselves. And if you're in a position where you've been lied to or cheated on or anything weird like that, it's just we start to doubt ourselves. And so then if you're doubting yourself, then it may seem like it's a spiritual pessimist. Then we start to question everything, things that we were already concrete rooted in. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when you're under pressure, then that's when your thought process and your belief systems will evolve. It will evolve. But that's why you're supposed to show up as authentic as possible in your genuine self, so that you're not shaken, so that you understand, well, this I understand how this happened. This person did this because this is where they come from, or this is what they thought this was, and I responded like this because of where I've already been and where I refuse to go back to, or where I said I would never let myself go, or since you want to poke the bull, then you get the horns. You have to see all sides, and I definitely do. But I'm just saying, I'm just talking about some of the things that cause us to doubt ourselves. And don't start a project and then drop the project because life is busy lifing, and you're taking shots at life, and life's taking shots at you, and you win some, and then even when you lose, you win in life because you're learning something. I'm learning. I've learned a lot. I try to connect the dots for people that maybe are not this far in the process of their healing. They haven't made it to this point where they're connecting dots. They're seeing the dots on the board and drawing the connection to see why I reacted the way I reacted. Why this might be a and then another reason why doubt comes in and we start to doubt ourselves is if we experience loss. I don't know that anyone can truly be prepared for loss, the loss of a loved one or a close friend, just loss. If we experience loss, and a lot of times people would be like, you can't exist because he or she was one of the best people that I've ever met. He or she was the closest resemblance of you that I'd ever known. And if you're God, how could you let this happen to them? How could you let them be taken from me? Like, I get it. And it's just another form. When I said heartbreak, like, it's not just romantic, because we have our bouts with God. We have our bouts. How could you let my mother go through this or my father go through this? Forgetting that all of those people, just like you, have your journey and your path and your life, your whole soul contract. There's some people that like to argue that, well, there's no proof what you're talking about, a soul contract. I'm more inclined to get my intel from the people who mapped out this entire universe before we had the technological tools that we have right now to do that. How long would you have observed the earth before you knew that it had a wobble, before you knew that it wasn't perfectly round, or what is considered round, or it may be round, but it's not like a sphere, like a ball, is it? Yes, I'm one of those. Yes, if you're asking, yes. I ask myself the question. You should ask yourself. You should ask many questions and look for the answers. Seek you first. Anyway, because then what you don't see coming, what you're not going to see coming, is the bigger question, the question, why? Why would such an effort be made to cover up the truth, whatever the truth is? Have you ever seen that movie Cabin in the Woods? I want you to watch that movie. When you see things on television, on the silver screen, that is so far-fetched that it's like, this is some really creative writing, like where they get that. These movies are very telling, and they talk about ancient pacts, and ancient ceremonies, observing the timeline, the expectancy of dominant forces in this place. And when you really study, it's all backed up by what people are calling theory, but we're constantly connecting dots. We're connecting the dots. Or those of us who are paying attention, if you have seeing eyes and hearing ears. Also, this is one of my pet peeves. Whenever people say, are they say you're listening, but do you hear me? And really, it's supposed to be you hear me, but are you listening? Because hearing is the involuntary action process of your body receiving the sound, and you processing is the listening. Are you listening? Are you actively listening? I actively listen. I take in a lot, and that makes me kind of sensitive. I'm a little bit empathic too, but I get really emotional when I consider the truth that has been withheld from us. I get appalled, as if you lied and said you love me, but it turns out that you didn't. I get appalled. Like, you said you would pay me this wage when I started here, and then you end up paying me almost less than half of that. I be appalled whenever I learn that it is not what it is. I'm appalled when I learn that people who were supposed to be related to me said some despicable things about me. Somebody said I was crazy. Y'all, can you believe it? I'm like, I'm crazy. Like, if I'm crazy, your mom is crazy. I'm one of those that I will say your mom in a heartbeat. So if there's any underlying issues with your mom, and see, and this is why I call it a conscious rant. We consciously choose what we allow to come into our minds, our beautiful minds, and what we allow to come out. You go back through your search history on your phone, on your Facebook, on your Google, on your Siri, on your whatever. What are you searching? What are you looking for? And then what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What do you have crawling around in here? And what are you sharing with people that you could be sharing a connection, a conversation that bridges a connection between you and somebody else, where you may be, I don't know, discussing time and relativity. We're always on the brink of the next, big idea or the next big thing, just the potential in our minds. I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I heard that a certain scientist and mega billionaire is really sick, and I'm sorry to hear that anyone is going through that. Anyone, when I see people crack up, in mainstream television, and are some of our superstars, that life just happens. Like, life is happening to all of us, but you only have a front row seat because this person was fortunate enough to get a career that's in front of the camera, and so their whole lives are being exploited and exposed to the world. So and so went into the Burger King bathroom, and his poop was orange. And we asked, "How did you get that?" And he said, "Well, I ate some orange bubble gum." Sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm just being silly. It's the things that we choose to let ourselves talk about. Since I've been in my isolation, there are people that I really miss talking to, that we had some really stimulating conversations, male and female, young and old. Like, when I say isolation, there are days on the people that I talk to. Sometimes I can't say that because I talk to my children every day. And I'm so grateful for that. We get so busy in life, we overlook each other and we forget each other. And I know that everything, we all have our seasons for it. I know we all have our seasons with each other and for a time, but those relationships that we have with us. And so there's this one that I was thinking about. It's like, I'm going to give you the analogy, right? So because I do have a very high degree of respect for myself and love for myself, I cannot allow myself to be with someone, like in a romantic situation, my significant other, my man. That just sounds so territorial and possessive, and I am a little bit. But anyway, I mean, not obviously it's just me, so I can't be that right now. But you know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, what was I saying? It happens all the time. That's because I be getting petty and saying stupid stuff. I can't think of just a second. Okay, I remembered it. So, like, there are guys that I've liked in the past, men, that for everything that they had going for them. Obviously, you had my attention. They had my attention in the way that they had my attention. But they used the B word very loosely. It's a derogatory term, and I know the definition of the actual definition of a B word, right? That's a weird thing to hear in the background, but people be having some real conversations over here. I'm gonna take that out. Anyway, there's nothing in my mind telling me that I have to be with or give consecutive chances to someone who casually uses a word that has historically just been a negative portrayal of a woman, and I'm a woman. If one of the friends that I had was a Caucasian woman, and I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't. First of all, I don't have a whole lot of friends to begin with, and less than half of them were. That doesn't even matter. But anyway, one of my Caucasian friends, or I don't know what we are right now, but I mean, I'm thinking we're not friends because that person fit in the category. You have to find a reason to justify, to legitimize saying the N word. And it's like a gentleman came into from India that came into the place, like I saw him out, just someone that I met in passing, who we were talking because we were talking about friendship. This is a perfect stranger. We're talking about friendship, and I was talking about my most recent friendship with a woman, who, and I was just expressing how I missed her and our friendship because I was learning so much from her, and I know she was learning so much from me, but there was something about the N word. I was like, why do you have to say that? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just like if you call me a B, I'm not going to be offended because I know that I'm not a B. You call me the N word. I've been called that many. I've been called the combination. But from someone that I call a friend, if you don't know better than that, you're gonna have to learn that lesson with somebody else because I'm not gonna tolerate hearing it. There's just no reason for it, and all that it does is fortify so many ideals. The idea that that there would never be a true connection and friendship between the races, because one race is going to always see themselves as superior while the other will always be deemed as three-fourths of a human being. It's hard to fight against that when you have someone so close to you being so careless with words. And I had to tell her, I was like, at this point, like if a stranger said it to me, that could not provoke me into action with him. I would just be like, you ignorant ass. And I would keep going like, you sticks and stones, bitch. You know what I mean? But someone that I'm calling a friend, I shouldn't even have to figure out which layer of the shield that I would have to activate to counter so that I don't react appropriately. Like, do you not realize that historically, I come from a people that were called that by this other set of people. And just the objection to being called it, just the ignoring having being called it, meant that we died, beat to death, hung, burned, tarred, stretched. I'm just saying we were punished for objecting to it. I'm not finna sit up and have the conversation to justify to someone that's like, well, I can say that to anyone. No, you can't say it to me. Like, what the fuck? You can't say it around me. Even if you hear me say it, which I'm conscious to not do that. That's a term of endearment between the interconnected of the Black community. It's not some shit that needs to be justified. It used to burn me up whenever I would hear comedians use it and some of the other language. But it's like, how are you going to object to us calling each other something that we've been called? Like, this is what you wanted, and now, like, you think I give a fuck you think about me saying that? Anyway, I'm just saying. But anyway, but this friend, that's a whole nother topic. But this friend, but I also come from people that's like, you don't say that. You don't say it in public. I would never say that in public. I would never call somebody that. But anyway, I was just expressing the dissonance and the back and forth with myself over my decision to cut that friendship off. I'm like, the question that I wanted to ask that person was, you don't think that it's an offensive term? Is it something that you would call me, or that you would be okay if you heard someone else call me that? And if your answer is no, then that's how you know that you shouldn't be trying to say that shit. That's it. Just like the man that thinks that he needs to say the B word. And I'm like, the idea that you need to call a woman out of her name, it's like, didn't you come from a woman? What you talking about right now? Why is that your weapon of choice? Because you don't know how to use your words. I'm just saying, of all things for you to say. Anyway. Dum 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 bum bum dum. Dum 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 dum. I was sitting up here listening to music the other day, and I told you guys, as I'm opening back up emotionally, I'm actually listening, and I forgot about Usher, y'all. I forgot about him. We watched him grow up in his career. Such a beautiful brother, beautiful artist. No matter how far I go. And it's just been on repeat the last few days. And see, that's one of the songs. A song like that, like I wanted to be longed for like that. It's like I listened to that and I'm like, I feel that. I have felt that for someone before, but I'd never been on the receiving end of that. And so it wasn't like hate. It was just I would genuinely be sad about it. Like when I get one, when it's my turn again. But see, half the time we really can't show up in our authentic selves to be receptive. I won't say to be deserving, because everyone deserves to be longed for. How are you in a connection with someone that doesn't? They can go 2 or 3 days without hearing your voice. I mean, when you have to, okay. If business said so, okay. But if you don't have to, my future husband, his heart would skip a few beats if he understood that he wouldn't be able to even hear my voice. One thing if you can't see me, but you can't even hear my voice for 2 days. Like, you saw me this morning, and we get home and we haven't had a single conversation the whole day. You didn't want to know how I was doing. You wanted to check TikTok, but you couldn't see how I was doing. You wanted to go to Instagram. You wanted to go to the pool hall or to the cigar lounge. You wanted to go and work on some stuff in the garage. Whatever it was that you were preoccupied in your mind. And it doesn't mean that, like, I mean, but in a way, like, our lives are kind of, they do revolve around when we in the relationships, like if you've gone through a breakup, when it gets so bad that the decision is made to sleep in separate rooms. When I hear people going through heartbreak, I listen, and I listen to what they are expressing, and then I cannot help but to read the room. And so many people are so quick to jump in there and be like, Like I'm just devil's advocate right now, so just don't never mind the. But no, people are quick to jump in there and be like, "Good riddance. What's love got to do with it anyway?" And I'm just like, maybe you've never known love to be responding like that. I'm listening to the petty part of the what is actually a genuine disappointment, a genuine letdown, a genuine heartbreak. But instead of just saying I'm so hurt that all this time and energy and emotion wasted, all this effort wasted, that's not what they say. He or she never appreciated me, and blah 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 blah. But that's why I don't waste a lot of time talking about the specific things that my ex did to me. And also, I'm no angel because back in the day, especially like in my 20s, oh my god, if you went a little bit left on me, I made a U-turn on your ass. If you ever find, locate, and are able to ask, I know a couple of my exes think that I was and am straight up crazy because before I had control over my tongue and over my emotions. It's like I'm gonna always be a mirror to you, and so if you shine on me, I become the sun to you. And if you get a little bit hot, I am lava. If your energy goes, you go over the top in your energy, I become a supernova on your ass. But then when I would consider how my words affected the other person, I never felt good about it. It's like, so I always watch my mouth. I'm not gonna, like, someone called me yellow or fat, call me out my name. It's like, I may call you an MF, but I'm not gonna talk about your flaws that I've been loving and accepting the entire time. And I'm just saying, when I hear other people talking about their end, they are at the end. They are past the point of counseling and talking because the damage is done and the communication has been completely broken, and someone has already started praying for the way out, and the other one has stopped even caring to even notice that the other one is thrown in the towel. That's just always really sad to me. And I always just try to encourage people. When you met this person, where were you in your life? I try to be the voice of reason. I'm not going to get on that man bashing bandwagon when I hear other women talking about their relationships fizzling out, or men, the woman bashing bandwagon. I'm not going to get on that. Like, I hate women like that, even though I do be saying it because I cannot stand when a bad girl turns a good boy bad. I hate it. I hate it. And I can't stand, I've seen many bad boys turn good girls. Like, man, she has several rows of horns, okay? That they only came out because she finally had the proper inspiration. Anyway, I'm the hopeful romantic. I go back to the tools that I acquired when I was going through counseling and therapy. This is a conscious rant. That's why I was all over the place. I know that. But that's why I share with you. I got off work. I always get off work after 11 o'clock at night. And because I'm, man, such a freaking geek, before this job, I'm conditioned. I get off 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm usually asleep before midnight. This is a different world. It's a different world. Hey, it's a different world. Okay, I'm done. Then where you come from? Yes, it is now. Yeah, yeah. Here's a chance to. I'm really messing with my kids. I'm gonna stop. Anyway, I be on a mission to restore hope in a place where people, they just be forgetting, and it's like when they think that they're at a point of no return, I just, and that's only because I have 2 failed marriages. I'm like, they know their contribution, and they know my contribution, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what you think. Like, you're from your perspective, my perspective, all that remains is the truth of what it was. And you will have someone who will have been fighting for a connection and will have receipts to back it up, who made the changes in the house to themselves, to their lives, to their ideals, to their traditions, to their goals. They will have bent so many ways. And then you'll have the people that know for a fact they didn't do shit but sabotage. They sabotaged themselves, sabotaged the relationship. Hell, try to sabotage you so you couldn't get away. Lying. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But once the relationship is completely dissolved, there's a reckoning. You know your contribution to whatever the end was. And if you're venting in front of me, I'm not one of those people that'll be like, girl, you better go on ahead and just let that thing go. I encourage people to fight for theirs. I encourage that. Unless you're being abused, and if you're the abuser. If you're abusing somebody, turn them loose, let them be free until you can, not indefinitely, but at least until you can get yourself some help so that you're not so damn toxic. You know what you're doing. You know what it is. If you're trying to justify mistreating somebody, just let them go until you heal yourself, heal whatever that is that's making you think you need to or that you can do that. Because everybody is protected. Everybody has a degree of protection. And just because you got away with a lie, got away with what she was doing, that don't mean that person is not protected. And maybe you being turned over out of their life is a part of that protection. And maybe you fighting to keep that connection will grant you the protection. It's my sister, my spiritual sister that I reconnected with a few days ago, that she was reminding me, that a woman is heaven to a man. He has to do his part so that he doesn't taint that connection. He doesn't taint that connection and ruin that for himself and for that house. Because you can make the home a fortified and emotionally impenetrable compound that nobody can break. That means that it can only be broken from the inside out. Or you can knowingly or unknowingly put a red clown nose on yourself and on her too for the act that you're putting on for the world because you know the games that you're playing. And then let yourself talk about how she showed up, how she stopped cooking and cleaning for you, how she wouldn't stop going out and staying out all night, how you looked up and she had multiple phones. There's so much petty. I've been shadow tripping a lot, having to keep my shadow from coming out. I think that we may be in a retrograde right now, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look into that. And that's where my words are not necessarily fully matching what I have in my heart to say. So whenever I feel that weirdness in my spirit, then that's when I will get quiet. And I'm always mindful of what I say. But that's when a little bit of time might pass and you might not get a video from me because again, I'm conscious of what I'm saying. So okay, but anyway, about this one though, thank you for joining me on this yet another conscious rant.